Welcome students to our online classes. Myself Ashwini Honkalse is going to explain you about lesson number 3 of standard 7th fibers to fabrics. So students, already we are familiar in last year about fibers and we are familiar about plant fibers. So this year we are going to study about some animal fibers. So how fibers we are extracting from plants and how we are going to extract fibers from animals that we are going to see. In this lesson, we are going to study about animal fibers that are wool and silk, animals that yield wool, from fibers to wool, processing fibers into wool, occupational hazard, life history of silk moth, discovery of silk. Then, I, I wish you all are familiar with these all animals, right? So we can see alpaca, yak, then camel, some ships. So you all are familiar about these animals. Guess what? By the hairs of that animals, we are know that these animals are giving us hairs, right? And that are called as a fibers. What they call as fibers. So from these animals, we are getting fibers. So how that we are going to study one by one by the steps. Now, before that, let us see. When we will see about these animals are eating two types of fibers. Yes, these are giving us two types of fibers. Which are those? You can able to see the upper layer of the hair. Somehow that hairs are thick and rough. That hairs are thick and rough. But if you take hairs which are on the stomach or at the inner side of the hair, that hairs are somehow soft. That hairs are somehow soft. When you take the animals, when you see the animals, that animals, some animals are giving soft hairs and some animals are giving thick and hard hairs, right? Thick and hard hairs. So animals are giving us fibers in two types. Which are those? A coarse braid hair and fine soft under hair close to the skin. Fine soft under hair close to the skin. Then what we are going to do, the farmers, they will select particular breed, particular animal that they should take that type of hair. If they want a thick hard hair, then they will select that type of animal and they will make that animal to be grow properly, and they will separate the soft hair animals. And if they want soft under hair close of the skin animals, then they will select that type of animals and they will rear that type of animal, and that type of breeding, that type of cultivating is called as a selective breeding. What we can call it as selective breeding. So how can we define about selective breeding? The process of selecting parents for obtaining special characters in their offspring, such as soft under hair in the sheep, is termed as selective breeding. So this is only one example, that soft under hair in the sheep. So the farmers may select the other type of also. So what we can say about the selective breeding? The process of selecting parents for obtaining special characters in their offspring, such as soft underhair in sheep, is termed as selective breeding. So you can see in this picture that how a same variety of animals are gathered in one particular section. So this is called as a selective breeding. This is called as what? Selective breeding. Here also you can able to see somehow same type of animals are there in particular room. So at same type of we are selecting, that is nothing but selective breeding. Next, animals that yield wool. So we already familiar that which type of animals are giving us wool. In particular area of the world, in particular countries of the world, particular type of animals are giving, particular animals are available and that they are using to get the wool. For example, if you take Tibet and Ladakh, sheep wool and yak wool are very famous. They are getting that animals there in particular places and they are using that animals for purpose of wool. If you go to Jammu and Kashmir, Angora goats. Angora goats are familiar. Their under soft hair are used to prepare shawls and that shawls are very famous in Jammu and Kashmir and they are called as a Pashmina shawls. What they can call? Pashmina shawls. Like this only, if you go to South Africa, llama and kalpaka animals are available there and they are giving us fibers, right? Now we are going to move towards the fiber to wool. So how we are going to convert fiber into wool, that we are going to see. So first, when you will go, these steps are involved in all this process. So when we will take the fiber, when we will get the fiber from that animal, then shearing, scouring, sorting, cleaning of birds, dyeing and rolling. So these all process involved in this process, then we will get a proper wool. So let us study one by one about these all steps. So first of all, shearing. You can able to see a picture here that what the boy is doing. He is trying to remove the hairs. So you can see some amount of hair is fall on the floor. So here the same person, same thing is done by the another person, that he is going to remove the hair from this animal, right? So what they are doing, they are removing hair from that particular animal. So what we can say about the shearing? The fleece of the sheep along with a thin layer of skin is removed from its body. This process is called as a shearing. So what the person will do, they are not going to remove only hair, but they will take a thin layer of their upper layer of the skin with the hairs. So that is nothing but called as a shearing. Don't worry, that skin will not painful when they will remove the skin and hairs from that body of the animal. It is not painful for that animal because that upper layer of that animal is always dead. The upper layer skin of the animal is always dead and it is very thin, so there will be no hurting of that animal. Now the next process is scouring. So what will happen when the farmers or the persons will take out the hairs from that a particular animal, it will be washed thoroughly and in big tanks. You can observe how the big container is there here and how it is going to be washed properly. In a big container or in a big tank, it will be washed properly. So what we can say, the sheared skin with the hair is thoroughly washed in tanks to remove grease, dust and dirt. This process is called as a shearing. This process is called as a scouring. What we will call it as scouring. Now the next process is sorting. So what is sorting? Even in our home we are doing the sorting process. So what your mama is doing? They will separate out all the things and they will keep it in proper space that they will get it easily. So in the same here, what they will do? They will separate out the long hairs, small hairs, thin hairs, thick hairs. See, you can see the picture over here. Somehow the colors of the picture, they can separate out the thin one, thicker one, long one. Somehow they will contain some texture. So they will separate out all the different types of hairs here. What we can say about the sorting? The hairy skin is sent to a factory where hair of different texture are separated or sorted. What we can say? The hairy skin is sent to a factory where the hairs of a different texture are separated or sorted. Now the next thing is cleaning of burrs. So when they will separate out burrs means a small thin hairs. What we will call it as? Burrs means a small thin hairs. So they will be separate out, the thin hairs are separate out from the long hairs, and that hairs we are going to take and we will wash it thoroughly. Cleaning of burrs, we will wash it thoroughly. So what we can say? The small fluffy fiber called burrs are picked out from the hair and they will be washed properly. So this process is nothing but cleaning of burrs. What we can say it as? Cleaning of burrs. Now the next process is dyeing. You can see in the container different colors are there, and you can see how the threads are become colorful in this picture. So I think you get the idea what you mean by dyeing. To giving color to that particular fibers is nothing but dyeing. So what we can say, the fibers can be dyed in various colors. They can be dyed in various colors. Now the next process is rolling. When the colored fibers we will get, they will sent again to the factory and they will be rolled out and convert in the form of yarn. What they will be? They will be convert in the form of yarn. So which process are involved up to we will get the thread, a simple thread. The first one is shearing, scouring, sorting, cleaning of burrs, dyeing, rolling, and the end process, in the end process of rolling we will get the thread. Your mamas in your families, sometime we are using the stitching that thread. So how many process involved in this? 6 processes totally, that is shearing, scouring, sorting, cleaning of burrs, dyeing, rolling. Then afterwards that thread will be ready and it will comes to our home. So in that all things, one small note, one small thing that we are going to see, that is occupational hazard. That is nothing but occupational hazard. So what do you mean by occupational hazard? So you can see a picture over here. Some persons are working in a factory, right? They wore uniform and they are properly working here. So sometimes what will happen while they are working in this fiber factory, the hairs are enter in their body through nose and their mouth, right? So how how much they will take care, then also one or another hair will be enter in their body. So that time they may attack by some diseases, right? They may attack by some diseases. So in particular factory, sometimes workers will get some diseases. So that type of disease is called as a occupational hazard. So in where we are working, from that place if we will get the diseases, that is called as a occupational hazard. So what we can say here, wool industry is an important means of livelihood for many people in our country. But sorters' job is risky as sometimes they get infected by bacterium anthrax, which cause a fatal blood disease called sorters disease. Which disease they may attack? They may attack by sorters disease. And which bacteria is responsible for this? That is anthrax. What we will call it as anthrax. Such risk faced by workers in any industry is called as a occupational hazard. So we just took an example of this fiber industry. If we will take in any industry and the person may attack by any disease because of that industry, is called as a occupational hazard. I wish you got it. Now the next thing is silk. So you all are familiar with this thing, that what it is. This is a nice beautiful sari, right? is a very beautiful sari. I think your mama also have this shiny cloth also you saw, right? So if it is, if you are not familiar about these cloth, just go to mama's cupboard, open it, you can able to see a beautiful saris which are shiny cloths, which contain shiny cloths. And what they are made from? They made from silk. They made from what? Silk. So what are the silk? The rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk is called as a sericulture. So that sericulture we will see afterwards. See first what is it? It is called as a silk. They are made from silk. So silk, how we will get? We will get it from one insect. That is nothing but silk moth. That is nothing but what? Silk moth. From the insect silk moth we will get this silk. So the process to get silk from that silk moth is called as a sericulture. What we will call it as? Sericulture. The rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk is called as a sericulture. What we will get it as? The rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk is called as a sericulture. Now, if you will say the discovery, according how the silk moth are discovered, how they are discovered, if we will see that, according to old Chinese legend, the Empress Si Lung Chi was asked by the Emperor Huang Ti to find the course, to find the cause of the damaged leaves of mulberry trees growing in their garden. The empress found white worms eating up mulberry leaves. She also noticed that they were spinning shiny cocoons around them. Accidentally, a cocoon dropped into her cup of tea and a tangle of delicate threads separated from the cocoon. So this is just a history which don't have any proof that how they discovered the silk moth. But the silk moth are very useful to prepare the silk. How? They are very useful to prepare the silk. So how we are cultivating this silk moth? Let us see. Before that, just know the life history of silk moth. So what will happen? So when we will take the silk moth, they will give the, they will lay the eggs. What will happen? They will lay the eggs. When we will take a pair of silk moth, then afterwards they will lay the eggs. The eggs will be hatched as a worms. Then after 10 days they will convert in the form of larva. They will convert in the form of larva. So how they look like after 14 days? Somehow they will be grown up, and then they will be developed as a cocoons. Then they will be developed as cocoons. How the cocoons will be look like? They will be look like a small eggs. They will be look like a small eggs, right? Then afterwards that cocoon will be leave, and that again the silk moth will becomes out. Again it will be rotate, and the life cycle will be continue in this way, right? So this is the life history of silk moth. So now the another thing is moriculture. What is the moriculture? When the farmers will take the mulberry leaves. Why the mulberry leaves? Mulberry leaves are food for silk moth. What it will be? Mulberry leaves are food for the silk moth. What the farmers will do? They will take the bamboo sticks and mulberry leaves, and they will take the silk moth. What will happen? The silk moth will lay the eggs. The eggs will be hatched out. It will be convert again in the form of larva, and that larva continuously eating the mulberry leaves, because the mulberry leaves are food for this silk moth. Then again it will convert in the form of pupa. Then it will becomes in the stage of adult. When bamboo stick will be there, the larva stage will comes out. Then that will be convert in the form of pupa. Then it will be in the form of cocoon with the help of bamboo stick. with the help of bamboo stick. That's why bamboo sticks are very important, and the mulberry leaves are food for this silk moth. So using mulberry leaves when we will cultivate the silk moth, that process is called as a moriculture. What we will call it as moriculture. So silk, this is a mulberry fruits. I wish you all ate these fruits, right? They are called as a mulberry fruits. See how the cocoons are cultivated here. You can see the bamboo stick here. The bamboos are stretched out like this, and the cocoons are prepared here. So with this help, with this we can say that it is the method of moriculture. Thank you.